Welcome to another edition of Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight. You follow me, I'll follow you back. Here we are, another week down of football, and next opponents up are the New Orleans Saints. Tonight, I'm joined with my co-host, esteemed co-host, the offensive and defensive coordinator of Buck What You Heard, Michael Pless. How you doing tonight?
Doing good, Gene. How's everything going?
Going good, man. I'm just, hoping we can right the ship, man. This is you're cutting it too close for me, and I'm waiting for the offense and defense to wake up and kind of do something.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, last week was pretty embarrassing just to watch and withstand. I mean, the offense was pathetic. Defense, I mean, they played as hard as they could. They made some good plays. Very inconsistent though. I mean, on both sides of the field, it was pretty much all over the place. It was hard to watch, especially on the offensive side of the ball, where pretty much just a self-inflicted wounds, and it seems like it's been that way for the last month or so. And how we go forward from here and how we fix it, but something's got to change, and this team has to start showing some pride on the field and start urgency and come out, firing. But for whatever reason, that just seems impossible to do right now for this team.
Yeah, and I know we're not in the locker room or anything like that, but a lot of fans have asked me, and I'm going to ask you, what's going on?
Yeah, I wish I had the answer. I think the team's searching for an answer right now, but I mean, something. I mean, I know Jameis came out today and said that guys need to check themselves and look themselves in the mirror. That definitely needs to go on. There's definitely needs to be some soul searching. We're going to figure out how tough this team is as far as a character standpoint, and how much they actually care about football and how much they want to win. And they're serious about winning. The stuff that happened last week shouldn't happen. Point blank and period. It can't happen, especially at home. You just can't put that kind of performance, especially coming off a loss in Buffalo, where you should have had that game, be a more intensified, unified purpose in what they're doing as far as going on in that field, and understanding that these games are must wins, and you just can't let opportunities go to waste. And that's what's happening right now. There's too many missed opportunities, offensively, defensively, special teams. Just got to be better all the way around. And that includes the coaches too.
Yeah, most definitely. I think what frustrates me a lot is one week the defense shows up and the offense doesn't. And the next week the offense shows up and the defense doesn't. They haven't won. I'm looking at these games that they've won. They've not won a game as a collective unit yet. And one side shows up more than the other side does in the Bears game and in the Giants game. And there have been games that they should have won, hands down. Defense gets a stop here. Offense makes a play here, and you're talking about a totally different situation. The Patriots game comes to mind. That's a game that the Buccaneers should have won, and point blank, they should have won. There's no excuse for what happened, and fans that we've seen this show before, where you have all this hype and these high expectations, and then they're not delivering. So here we are. Against the New Orleans Saints team that's 5-2, and you would think in your mind, going back to the beginning of the season, this is where you would think the Bucs would be 5-2 as opposed to 2-5.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at those games. I mean, they go into Minnesota and they just look like they're just sleepwalking, not even ready to play from the start. And it just seems like that's happening way too often. Same thing with Arizona. It just seemed like, hey, we're in Arizona, let's go on vacation and not, show up for the game. So I hear players after the game, saying, "Oh, we didn't show it today. We didn't have it today. We're not going to hurt or whatever." And that falls on coaching, but it also falls on the players more because the players are paid to do a job, and it's their job to go out there and perform. And for whatever reason, guys, I don't know if they just don't care. And there's been stories of that, people, not focused on other things. The whole TJ Ward coming out and saying guys were taking this as a vacation. That's going back to the Arizona game, but stuff like that. If that is going on, then there's a bigger problem, with this team, and that's something that needs to be resolved quickly. A lot of fingers.
When you talk about stuff like that, those are things that the players should be resolving amongst themselves. I mean, yeah, I understand the coach can do so much, but players, I've seen cases where players resolve those type of issues themselves, as opposed to waiting for the coach to say something. I mean, TJ Ward is a veteran. He's been on a Super Bowl championship team. Clinton McDonald's been on a Super Bowl championship team. These are guys that know what it takes to get there. And me personally, just outsider looking in, I would expect that from veteran players like that. That's part of why they're in the locker room, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, no, and it's definitely, it has to be resolved by the players, like you said. That's where your captains come into play, your leadership. They have to make those adjustments and get these guys in line and say, hey, we only have 16 opportunities. If you're serious about making the playoffs, you got to take advantage of every one. We've allowed too many opportunities to go by in games where making simple plays, our record could be much different. And for whatever reason, guys are either zoned out or not focused during the week. I don't know if it's, I've heard stories of bad practicing, guys not, coming ready to practice. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know, you got to get it fixed. I mean, players in the locker room need to come together and start playing as a more unified unit and getting back to complementary football. And that's winning streak last year. And for whatever reason, they just haven't been able to do that this year. And hopefully that starts changing. I know Quan Alexander came out and talked about, we're about to turn it around. Well, it's this week or never. We got to make it happen now.
Yeah, most definitely. Honestly, again, the talent's there to win these games. I mean, they haven't been blown out. Even that Cardinals game, with Jameis out, and you've got Fitz in there. And I know some people said garbage time, but you could tell if you're in the stadium at that Cardinals game, there were people that were getting nervous at the way Tampa was coming back towards the end of that game. So it's just one of those things that, a play here, a couple of stops in the first half, and that's a totally different game than what we saw, what you saw against the Cardinals. And in the Minnesota Vikings game, same thing. It's just a couple of plays, and you're talking about a totally different team, but it just seems like they can't jump out to a lead. They just end up playing from behind. And when they do have a lead, what I've seen this year is they're not able to hold it. And that's what's really kind of disappointing about, the season.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating part, because there is talent on this roster. It's probably one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. And in 5, it's hard to put your mind around it, because this team can be so much better. And to see them underperforming like they are, it's last week's performance was the most toughest losses I've witnessed. Offensively, that was it was atrocious. It was probably one of the, watching the tape, a lot of stuff was just not good. Not I don't know. I mean, and again, this goes back to coaching as well. I think Dirk Cutter has to be better. Play calling needs to be more creative, more diverse, more unpredictable. Personnel groupings need to be better. I think you need to take advantage of O.J. Howard more, use the middle of the field. Check downs need to be more of an emphasis. Jameis, again, it goes back to Jameis and Dirk. I think Jameis needs to be better with his progressions, going from first read to second read quicker, because for whatever reason, he's staying on that first read too long, and that's causing issues in the pocket where you see pressure eventually getting him, or, it's causing turnovers, whether it be fumble or interceptions. But got to find something. I mean, we need identity. We need to be more consistent. If you're going to be a pound the rock team, you want to be a run first type team, then you need to commit to the run, and you need to run it at least 30 times a game and use that play action passing game.
Exactly.
I mean, Jameis is his best at play action, and if we're not using it enough, I mean, what's the point? You got to find ways.
I've said this too. If Doug Martin gets 100 yards, the Bucs are normally going to win the game. Right. And last year when you had 100-yard rushers, they won. They won against Carolina with a 100-yard rusher and Jacquizz Rodgers last year. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't understand why they're getting away from the run when the run can do nothing but help this team. And I understand people are saying, "Oh, well, Doug's not running good." I think they're getting away from Doug Martin at times when those are the times they really need to be going to him, so that you're drawing those guys in and you're opening up the field a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're just not seeing it. And as you mentioned off the air, when a defense knows what you're getting ready to do, they've pretty much game plan for everything that you have, and you pretty much go according to what they've game planned. I mean, what's the use?
Yeah. And it was pretty bad. I mean, Carolina was pretty much running our receivers' routes. They were pretty much prepared as far as what our receivers are going to run. There was, I mean, I think it was the first drive of the game. I think we had a 1st and 5 after an offsides out in Carolina, and then those next 3 plays were probably the worst offensive series I've seen. I think second down, I think we ran it, didn't get anywhere, or it was incomplete, something like that. And then the 3rd down, I think we passed it to Mike Evans. He drops it. But again, you're running routes where attack in the middle of the field. There was nothing over the middle. It was just
was that the play? I think Cameron Brate was running free on that play. The one that you're talking about.
I'm not sure, but I know Mike Evans had a bad drop early. That would have been a 1st down. And then I think there's another 1st and 5 series though, where it was like 3rd and 4, and we pretty much had everyone running towards the sideline. There was no options over the middle of the field, and I think Jameis just threw an incomplete pass. But it's got to change. I mean, there's got to be something different to get this offense going that we can do. But it starts with the running game, like I said, and you said, you got to be committed to it and start pounding that rock and making sure that you're keeping the defense honest, but also open it up with play action. There's got to be something different we can do to get Jameis more comfortable, whether that's more bootlegs to get him moving, get him outside the pocket where he's really good at. Multitude of things. We just have to be more diverse in our play calling.
And I have to ask you, I'm going to jump in here too. Is Jameis 100% healthy?
I don't think he's 100%, but I think he's good enough to play. Or if he could get hurt anymore.
Do you think this is affecting the injury is affecting his play in any way?
He might be thinking about it. It might be in the back of his mind, but I don't think it's affecting his play. I think, again, Jameis, a lot of the things is just him. He's just got to be quicker with his progressions. He's staying way too long on the deep ball, and a lot of it's in his head. I think he just needs to clear his head and just go out there and play. there's guys open in this offense. Pretty much every play, there's going to be a guy open, which is good. So the play design is good enough for this offense to be good. The play calling is good enough. But again, I think to do is do more to help him rhythm early, find a way to get him going. That way the offense can get going quicker, put up more points in the first half, because our first half production is just not good enough. You can't have, I think we've only had 6 points in the first quarter this whole year. That's pathetic. I mean, you just can't have that.
Yeah, and you've got tools, and you've got tools to get in the end zone. I know that there have been people that have questioned me because I talk about the red zone all the time. And at the beginning of the season, that was even going, after the draft, the red zone was always a concern for me. How are they going to improve what they've done from the season before? And it looks like it's a carryover from last season, from what I'm seeing. Now, with these big tight ends, the big body wide receiver, you have a speed wide receiver. There are options, and I understand when you're that close to the end zone, the back of the end zone is also a defender. But aren't there plays that can be made, or aren't there opportunities to score that you've seen throughout these games so far?
Well, I can't really talk about last week because we weren't really in the red zone last week. No. I mean, we barely made it to the red zone, so
we'll skip that.
But yeah, I mean, our red zone offense, I think it's it can definitely be more diverse. Like I said, you have to be more creative. You look at these other teams, what do they do in the red zone? They attack the middle of the field. They find a way to, whether it's pick plays or, guys running slants or, finding ways to create separation in that middle of the field, because that's where the easiest throw can be made is right over the middle. Ways to misdirection or quick little passes, whether it be slants or drag routes or, something going over the middle to create separation against these defenders, because like you said, when you get in the red zone, it gets boggled down. There's not a lot of space, and you have to find ways to create space. And we have the players to do that. You look at the Buffalo Bills game, the touchdown to O.J. Howard when they were in the red zone, that's a perfect play call, because you run a hard play action, you go the other way to the right side of the field, and you throw it back to the left side of the field. O.J. Howard wide open for a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's what it takes to be successful in the red zone. You look at the Houston Texans, the Philadelphia Eagles, all the misdirection that they run with, whether it be play actions, jet sweeps, styles of plays, whether it be pick plays, slants and out routes. It's just setting up easier throws for your quarterback, tougher to defend. Do more consistently is finding ways to get the defense moving one way and attack the other.
Yeah, most definitely.
What it's about.
Yeah, and we've seen that. We've seen glimpses of that. I like what I'm seeing with O.J. Howard. I like the draft pick, and if the draft happened again, I would be happy with that pick again. I like what I mean, we haven't even seen his ceiling yet, so he's just scratching the surface on what he can do. And as he learns the nuances of the game, he's going to really be an amazing weapon for the Buccaneers. So it's a guy I'm really looking forward to. So I want to get your final recap, and I know that you definitely wanted to talk about this game last week. So I want to get your recap and get your final thoughts on the game, and we kind of move on and talk about the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it was, like I said earlier, is an embarrassing performance by the offense. I thought the defense did some good things. I thought individual players, Vernon Hargreaves had another great week. I thought he looked outstanding. The linebacker core, again, Levante David is our best player on defense. An animal again. Quan Alexander looked a lot better than he did, the previous week. So I thought Alexander looked good. The defensive line, again, still a lot of issues. I don't like how they're playing McCoy. I think they're trying to move McCoy around too much with the stunts. I think that needs to stop. You need to just let him go up the field and attack. And when he did, he made some plays.
Yeah. Didn't they learn from Schiano?
I guess not. But again, when you don't have an edge rush, you're trying to create things. You're trying to create havoc up there up front and, try to generate pressure. So you pretty much overthink it. And I think that's what's going on right now. I think the safety play was better. I thought Justin Evans did some good things, aside from the Kelvin Benjamin touchdown. He just got lost there. But, that happens. But, Chris Conte, that was a hell of an interception. I thought that was good. Again, it's just they have to figure out what they are. They have to figure out identity, and they need to figure it out fast. And I think Coach Cutter.
Just curious, we're talking about this. What do you do with TJ Ward?
TJ Ward, I would like to see him in there full time, and that's another thing that's pissing me off. That's frustrating is the whole rotation thing on both sides of the ball. I think they need to just pick 11
again.
Pick 11 starters and just go with it. Or Justin Evans should be your safeties. If you're going to rotate somebody in, maybe Keith Tandy, but just stop with the rotations. Same thing with the offensive line. I'm tired of seeing Evan Smith in there. That's just ruining the cohesion. I saw him got beat like a drumstick, and he allowed a 4-yard loss, and that ruins drives. You just can't have negative plays like that. Keep Kevin Panfield in there and just let him play, because it's also affecting Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith is getting lost because the communication is different with Evan Smith and Panfield in there. They're just not on the same page, and it's causing a lot of issues, especially in the run game that I'm seeing. And so that shit's got to stop. Just stop with the rotations.
Yeah,
and just
I've never been a big fan of it. Look, Ward has been here long enough. He knows the system. He's a professional. He's a veteran, and he's a playmaker. Yeah. He can make plays. They need to get him in the game. Mm-hmm. He needs to be in. I understand that Justin Evans was a second round pick. I get that. Mm-hmm. But when you got somebody like this guy, you need to have him on the field. He needs to be on the field making plays. Okay? Mm-hmm. And we saw this rotation crap with the secondary when Lovie Smith was here. Okay? Every week was a different lineup, a different combination of guys, and it didn't work then. And it's not working now. So to your point, pick 11 guys, get them out there and let them play. If they're going to make mistakes, if they make a mistake, you know what? Hey, you got to have amnesia, get in there and make a play. The next series. You can't do this. Mm-hmm. This is horrible. I don't know what the end game is by rotating these guys in. They're professionals. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about keeping them fresh or something like that. If they have to come out for a play, I get it. But you can't do what they're doing, and it's not going to be successful.
No, I agree. And I think the same thing with Doug Martin. I think, they take him out. When he's starting to get rolling. Yeah, just let him go. I understand if he's tired, but if you bring in another running back, then you need to at least give him the ball on a run play to confuse the defense somehow. That's another thing with predictability. We have to be more diverse in our personnel groupings. If you come out in 3 tight end set, show signs that you're going to throw the ball out of that set. Just do different things. I would like to see more draws and screens. Utilize the quick passing game. I think Jameis is at his best when he's in a timing passing game where he gets the ball out 1, 2, 3, and it's just let it rip. Yeah, you have to find a rhythm in this offense, and it's got to start this week. Consistently, if you're going to run just come out in 2 tight end formation and run that pretty much the whole game. Stay consistent with your formations and run different plays out of those same formations. The Indianapolis Colts did this the best with Peyton Manning. They pretty much ran out of a 2 tight end set and pretty much ran it the whole game, but they would run variations of those formations, different plays out of the formation, and just keep it going. And that's what you have to do. You have to be diverse, give defenses the same look, but you run something different as far as the play call. And that's really what separates the great offenses, to the good offenses or below average offense.
Yeah, if we go back to last season, they pretty much had a set defense. They had 11 guys, and they kind of stuck with them unless there was injury, if I'm not mistaken, last season.
Yeah, I mean, they would still rotate the safeties, but again, it wasn't as much as they're doing now.
Right. And you have a higher quality safety right here that needs to be in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. They need to pick a 3 and just and stick with it and be more versatile, especially on offense. I mean, just if defenses are running your receiver routes, I mean, that's not a good sign. Luke Kuechly did the same thing on that interception. I mean, he was pretty much running Cameron Brate's route. He knew where he was going, got to a spot, ball was there, interception. I mean, you got to find ways to attack the middle of the field and just got to be better.
I would love to see him using Doug Martin more on third downs.
It's got to happen. He's a good pass blocker. You got to utilize him more. You get him more involved in screens, draw plays. Something's got to be different with this offense, and it's got to start now. There's just too much talent. It was just embarrassing. You just can't have that.
Yeah, most definitely. So, we got to put this game behind us. Again, we have another opportunity to face the Carolina Panthers towards the back end of the season. So, the Bucs need to be ready to bounce back and play that game. But next team up is the New Orleans Saints, the team that's really surprised me more than any other teams in the NFL right now is the New Orleans Saints. I mean, I realize that you have a future Hall of Famer in Drew Brees, but he's playing at a high level this season, and he's leading his team right along. They're 5-2. And they're in a really good position right now.
Yeah, they have come a long way. I mean, starting 0-2 to begin the year, and now have won 5 straight. They're really showing signs of a team that's coming together. Again, playing complementary football. That's what makes them very successful. Defensively, they're finding ways to get after the quarterback, and they're also doing a great job in coverage. Again, they're still a little leaky. They can still allow points. I know Detroit, I think, scored 38 on them a couple weeks back. But again, the Saints offense put up 52. So, but yeah, they're very creative. It starts with Drew Brees. I think they got a lot better when they traded Adrian Peterson. I thought that was a fantastic move.
Yeah.
And now they put in, Alvin Kamara, who's got a bigger role. He's pretty much the starting back. And then you have Mark Ingram, who's kind of like the change of pace, but also, that 4-minute guy that can wear you guys out and wear down a defense. So they're very tough to stop. Offensively, they like to run a lot of double moves with their receivers. Drew Brees does a great job of manipulating coverages with his eyes, but also with his pump fakes. So you have to be disciplined. That's going to be tough. And, you have to get pressure on him. You got to make him move, because if you get him to move, he is short, and sometimes he likes to throw interceptions. He hates
getting hit, for sure. I mean, we've seen that where we've been able to – Tampa's been able to get in and light him up a few times, and it's taking him off his rhythm. So that's something you can kind of hope for, that, they'll figure out some way to get pressure on the quarterback. Again, when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense versus this offense, what are some keys to getting stops?
Well, I think, again, like I said in my article today, I think we have to, most importantly, we have to stop the run. I think we have to be, better in our run fits, which we showed signs of it last week. I thought we were a little bit better. Again, still inconsistent. And getting off the field on third down. Again, we allowed too many third downs. We got the Panthers to to attempt 17 third downs, which is good, but we allowed them to convert 8 of them, which is still pretty high. 40, I think it was 47% on third down. So you like to see that number get down, under 40%. You like to be in the 30% range. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be key. Getting off the field on third down and forcing turnovers any way you can. I think that's going to make us successful. But the Saints are really good. I mean, they have a lot of weapons on offense. They just know how to use them. Sean Payton and Drew Brees have been doing this for a long time, and they really understand how to, make things happen. They got Willie Snead, who's a really good receiver. Is coming into his own. He's a young player that has been getting better and better. Same thing with, now that Alvin Kamara, I mean, he's dangerous out of the backfield. He can make people miss, kind of like McCaffrey, but he's a better inside the tackle. So I think this key for this week is going to be tackling on defense. I think we're going to have to tackle well and make sure that we don't let the Saints get any extra yardage, after the catch.
Yeah. So, I'm with you. And that was the thing that I was going to mention is tackling is key. I mean, wherever you get them wrapped up at, that's where you have to stop them at. You can't let them get those yards, because any extra yards is putting Drew Brees closer to the end zone. And that guy, he scares me. This is one of those games that always makes me nervous. The Saints, they just find a way to win sometimes. Or this year, 5 times they found a way to win. So they're doing what they need to do.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at last week. I mean, they only put up 20 points, but
that's all they need.
Again, football. Again, their defense makes a big play to win the game. Marcus Lattimore gets an interception off of the Bears rookie quarterback Trubisky, and pretty much seals the game. So they're finding different ways to win the game, and that's what good football teams do. And I would consider them a good team. I mean, they got everything rolling right now. They do a lot of good things right now. They run the football pretty well, throw the ball. Again, Drew Brees lighting teams up. And defensively, they don't do anything, but they make you work for your yards, and they make you earn your points. So, and then they find a way to, get those timely turnovers.
Yeah. And these are things that Tampa should be doing on a consistent basis. And, again, I hope they find themselves. This is kind of similar to what we saw last year, where towards the middle or back end of the season, you started seeing Tampa putting everything together. You started hearing more about family. They were trying to come together, and you saw where the communication was starting to work. And that's pretty much what they need to do. I'm hoping and praying that it's Quan Alexander that's out there that's helping them to the missing link that kind of puts everything together. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. I mean, you win this week, you're 3 of 5 again. You're right back where you were last year. You wish it didn't come to this situation. You wish they didn't put themselves in this hole. You'd think they would learn from their lesson and come out with urgency and understand that games to begin with. But again, things don't always go your way. I mean, stuff happens. You have a lot of new players on both sides of the ball. It takes time to gain that trust with whether it be offense, your quarterback gaining trust with Deshaun Jackson, getting familiar with your new weapons and understanding how to get everyone involved. Again, that takes time. Same thing on defense. We do have new starters on defense. It takes time for those guys to gain trust. Same thing with Chris Baker and McCoy, gaining that trust of where they're going to be on the field. So all that stuff takes, I mean, I know it takes time, and communication has to be spot on, but
I've liked what Chris Baker has done. I've heard a lot of people that are like down on the guy and saying that he's lazy or, other things. I've seen him play, I think I don't know. I would say he's an improvement over Clint McDonald. What do you think?
To be honest, I mean, watching the tape, I think he's been probably our best defensive lineman outside of Gerald McCoy. And where the criticism is, I know he doesn't put up a lot of stats, but stats are for losers, as Raheem Morris would say. But
2 thumbs up for that comment right there.
Yeah, I mean, does a lot of things that goes unnoticed. But again, I guarantee you that Mike Smith notices them. Gerald McCoy notices it. So he makes a lot of plays that, not every fan is going to see. But if you watch the tape closely, he's making an impact for sure. And when he goes out of the game, it hurts.
Yeah. I've liked what Clint McDonald has done at times when he's come in as well. I think.
Oh yeah, Clint McDonald. Yeah, Clint McDonald
plays when he comes
really well. No, I was going to say McDonald's played really well as well. I think he's probably been our third best defensive lineman, and that's saying something. I think big disappointment for William Golston. I don't think he's played very well at all this year. He's got his head down way too much. He's losing track of the football, and he's not really playing well against the run, and it's costing us because that's what he's be a style run defender, and he's just not getting it done.
So is it something, do you think it's just mental? Because he's healthy. He's as far as I know, he's 100%. And, I've seen him over the past 2 seasons, maybe three seasons, where he's continually made plays. And he's just gotten better and better and better. And, now it just seems like this season he's kind of regressed a little bit from where he was at the peak of his performance.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, him and Robert Ayers have been disappointing. They haven't been able to play to their standards of what they were doing last year. Robert Ayers missing way too many tackles. Missing opportunities, missing sacks. Same thing with William Golston, not getting much push on his guy. It just seems like he's running into his guy. He's getting his head down. Technique is not where it needs to be. Not disengaging off of blocks.
Now, these are all coachable things, right?
Coachable, but for whatever reason, it's not improving, and that's not a good sign. So for whatever he is getting in practice, he's just not taking it to the field. You hope that turns around because him and the rest of the defensive ends need to play better. It's pretty hard to watch when you turn on the film and watch the defensive ends because they're just using anything. They're not giving anything as far as being one-on-ones because they're getting a lot of one-on-one opportunities and they're just not winning. I mean, when the Panthers offensive tackles are graded the highest in the league from Pro Football Focus, that's not good because the Panthers tackles are terrible. They're not very good. Matt Khalil is not a good left tackle. Same thing with their right tackle. His name escapes me, but you can't let that happen. You got to win your one-on-ones, and when you're getting them majority of the time because 5 guys are on Gerald McCoy, you got to win.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody else at some point they have to step up. If there's a double team anywhere, that means somebody's got an opportunity to make a play.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
it's just not happening.
Exactly. Well, I don't know if you're following the game. It looks like the Jets are up 23-7 right now, and that against the Buffalo Bills, which again we're going to face the Jets, or the Bucs will face the Jets here very soon. So you gotta turn some things around. I tell you.
Yeah, I'll be at that game next week, and I'm nervous about that one. So
yeah, most definitely.
I mean, let's just get through.
Yeah, let's get through the Saints game. Next point, I want to kind of flip it a little bit, and we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense versus the New Orleans Saints defense. You're an offensive coordinator. How do you game plan against this Saints defense, or what do you do?
I mean, it's like I've been saying the last couple of weeks. I think the Bucs need to just focus on what they do best, and whatever you do best, keep doing it. No matter what, just keep doing it. Whatever you think is your bread and butter, whatever that is, You need to find a way to make that happen. And I think what we do best is you need to pound the rock up the middle, give it to Doug Martin, let your offensive line run the football.
Yeah.
Stay committed to running the ball. Running the football is all about rhythm. Same thing with the passing game. It's all built off of rhythm. The more you run it, the better you're going to be successful. Stay committed to it. It has to be a mindset that you're going to run the ball on this team no matter what, and you're going to be physical at the point of attack and go get it. You have a workhorse in Doug Martin. Let him run the football against the Saints team and wear them out. And when they start to creep up, you hit them with a play action, and you do that quick timing passing, do some quick play action, get the ball to O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate over the middle of the field. That's what we have to do. Same thing with Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson. Just use them on quick comebacks. You don't have to send them deep. The defenses are giving us 5 yards every play. You have to take advantage of it, whether it be 5 to 8 yards. You got to take that. You have size in Mike Evans. Use him on fade routes. Use some we're just not seeing that enough, and that's something that's got to change. Involve some slants. You got to do something different and get the defense guessing. Again, I think it starts with offensive line. I think you have to let them impose their will and run the football. And if Doug Martin gets tired, keep running the ball with Jacquizz Rodgers. Same thing with Charles Sims.
There you go. Change your pace back. Somebody that's different. You're giving them a different look, but you're still running the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And you can change up your runs. You can do draw plays. You can do some counters. Whatever you got to do. Well, we should have at least 30 rushing attempts every game. 5, and keep your passes limited. And same thing with, like I was saying earlier, I think Jameis and Coach Cutter, I think Cutter needs to give Jameis less reads. I think you need to keep it, 2 to 3 reads minimum. Give him less options and say, hey, we're either going to go here or we're going to go there. If that's not open, you go this way. And pretty much that's it. That's pretty much what the offense needs to start doing, finding ways to get him in rhythm, get him going early, and finding ways to produce points, because we have to start getting leads. You have to start controlling the time of possession, because and beat in those areas, and it's got to stop.
Yeah. And no huddle would be a nice way to start out the game. You get the ball, you get that next first down, you go up to the line and you get everybody set and you see what your defense is looking like, and then you run your play. And we've just kind of gotten away from that. You get Jameis in that kind of rhythm where he's playing like he's playing from behind, but it's the first quarter and you're actually playing, this is your first series as you're going down the field. I think that is the kind of thing that Tampa needs to do, is to really speed up this offense and get them going, because I don't know, there are times where I just don't see a sense of urgency, where they're just kind of going through the plays. And we really need to see more of that, especially from this team.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on, the no huddle. I would definitely start the game out. They're going to be running a silent count, just keep that silent count going and keep the no huddle moving, and let Jameis just, pretty much make the play calls. I would like to see him get more reins to the offense and just let him run it and see what can happen. But yeah, I definitely like to, just start it off and get into a nice rhythm. Come out and first down, run a nice play action pass to O.J. Howard or Cameron Brate. Something over the middle, something easy. They do a lot of good things where they, they're in the shotgun and they run a nice quick play action, and then they throw it, a nice slant to Mike Evans or something along those lines where it's a nice post route. We got to do something more of those lines where, the defense is just not guessing run on first down, because it just seems like, every game we come out, we run the ball, it's, 1 or maybe 2 yard gain. You have to do something different to get the defense off balance early, to keep them guessing. And that's what other teams have been doing against our defense. We saw it against Minnesota. We saw it against Arizona. They did a great job of mixing it up and keeping our defense off balance all game. And that's what the Bucs offense needs to start doing.
And what frustrated me were the humongous holes that these offensive linemen were opening up against the defense. And again, there were a lot of times where missed tackles, and the Bucs have to clean that up. They really do. I mean, there's no excuse for it. I mean, that goes all the way back to Pop Warner when you learn how to tackle and wrap up, and we're just not, you're just not seeing it.
But yeah, I mean, and again, going back to the offense, I would just like to see us come out and with an identity and 2 tight end set, just run that for, the first quarter and just go with it, run different plays out of that formation and let Doug Martin kind of take control of that game. Let the running game guide you off of that, and vice versa. If you have to the run, I mean, let's do that. Let's keep it mixing it up and be more creative and diverse, because that's what league is, keeping guys off balance and having guys guess. And if you can do that, you can be very successful.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And again, that's what this offense needs. They need to keep these other teams off balance. And when they're running this, you can't. We could sit here and guess, and be pretty accurate on what the Bucs have been running. What they're going to do, and that needs to change. Where you have Doug Martin in on a third down, and you don't know if it's gonna run, or if it's gonna be a run, or a pass. And I think they are leaning too much in the pass, and have gotten away from the run. And that again, that's something that really needs to go away as well. We need more balance. You need to see more balance. I'm trying to think. Was it? I thought the Bills game on offense was pretty balanced for the most part. They could have ran the ball a little bit more, but again, it was better than what it had been in previous games. I think that they're depending too much on Jameis's arm, and instead of balancing everything out. So and again, when you get down in the red zone, it's good to have a kicker, but at the same time, 7 points looks even better than that.
Yeah, and another guy that I follow on Twitter, he brought up a good point about, it's just running the football is all about mindset. It's all about commitment, like I said earlier. And that's what this team needs to get back to. You have 5 offensive linemen that are really good run blockers. You have O.J. Howard that is just a beast in the run game. You got to utilize it, and you got to come out with a tenacity and force, but you have to stay committed to it. And ideally for this game, the Saints are pretty much a finesse team. Like they're not very physical, I don't think. From what I see, I know they like to play like a speed type of game where they like to keep things going. I would like to see us just punch them in the mouth, just come out, run the ball times in a row, maybe 6 times in a row to start the game. If you can get a first down or whatever, I would just like to see us establish our will in the run game. Even if it's 3 runs and you have to punt, I would just like to see that. I would like to see us run the ball on third down for a change, because it seems like it's been forever since we ran the ball on third down. Even if it's like a 3rd and 4, run some type of draw or off tackle run just to keep something different, keep them guessing later in the game. Even if you have to punt, even if you have to punt, it sets things up later in the game. Next time out, you can run a play action, and that can open things up, for someone else.
Yeah, so. And it doesn't hurt the field position battle either.
Right.
If your defense is playing like they're supposed to, where you do run on that third down, and it again later on in the game, defensive coordinators are going to be thinking, hey, they could run the ball, so it gives you a little bit, It gives you more options. And as I said at the beginning of the show, and we both said this, when you run the ball, it gives you more options throughout the game. When you run the ball consistently and you don't get away from the run, people tend to zero in on something when they see you doing it consistently. So when they see that, oh, we're not running the ball anymore, okay, we're gonna run our defense this way. Or if it totally changes your perspective basically when you're just doing one thing.
And I'm not saying being ultra conservative here. I'm not saying let's run Mike Shula's offense. I'm just saying we need to play smart and have a heavy, consistent balance with the offense, whether it be pass or run. And again, I would like to just see us stick with what works. If you have plays that are working, you just keep attacking with those plays. Find ways to make them different, but also, just be consistent. And that's what we have to find a way to do. Consistency is lacking from this team, and you have to find a way to instill that. And this week, that's why I would like to see us just come out and be physical, because the last couple of weeks we've gotten out physical, and it's we need to start imposing our will on both sides of the ball, and that starts with the offensive line, defensive line. And there's talent there that can make this happen, but it's got to be up here. It's got to be in your mind, and we have to go out there and do it.
Hey, it's got to be in your heart too. You gotta want that.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta want it.
And I want to see some heart. I want to see some tenacity. Maybe even get into a fight or something. Don't get kicked out.
That's what I was gonna say. A couple personal fouls aren't gonna hurt my feelings any.
No, yeah, don't get kicked out of the game, but maybe just a pile or something. I don't know. Do something. Something's got to change.
So again, that's kind of what we're seeing here, and basically, I just would love to see the Bucs win this game, go into New Orleans, win this game. It's a division game. These division games are like gold. They lost an opportunity last week that they could easily be 2-0, after this week in the division, and that would definitely be helping them. So these games are very valuable as we're moving forward. So I'm really hoping that, and I know that coaches look at game film. They all look at game film. They have to. And we're not in the locker room. We're not in the film room or seeing what they're talking about. But these guys have to see that what they're doing is not working. It's not consistent. They need to be and I know they're pointing this stuff out to the guys, but the guys on the other end of the ball too, they have to go out there and execute these plays. So it's important that, they said they buy into this. I don't want to listen to the rumors that the team has mailed it in and all this other stuff. I don't believe that. I think that it's just little things that they're missing on that are stopping them from winning some of these games.
Mm-hmm. No, and I would agree with that. I think it's, you just gotta come out with the right. Like I said, a lot of it's mindset, and I just want to see just show some passion and that you care. And I know this team cares. I know they want to win. I know they want to win more than most. I know they want to get back to the playoffs. I know that's burning inside them. But again, it's just like we said, execution. It's about attention to detail. And that's something that's been missing for the last month, and it's got to change this week. There's plays to be made, like I've been saying on offense. Dirk Cutter's not an idiot. Same thing with Mike Smith. They're smart guys. They know what they're doing. They've been doing this a long time. This coaching staff is really good. They're going to figure it out. And the same thing with the players. I think, again, it's just about these guys coming together and playing as a unit, playing as one. It's got to start this week against the Saints. It's a big division game. You win this game, turning point for the season. You can find a way to get some rhythm going, and who knows what happens, in November and December. It's
we've seen it. We've seen it. We know they're capable of doing it. As fans, we watched them last year, and that's where we got all the confidence and hope for this year. And it's just like, you're kind of starting all over again, and you're having to go through this again. So I know that this team is capable of doing big things still. I know a lot of people have pretty much written them off, but I think that they can win some games, and that's what I'm hoping for. It looks like I lost him, but anyway, just kind of getting back to what we were talking about with the New Orleans Saints. Again, it's a very winnable game. The Bucs have to come in and play their game. They have to get the running game going, and even on into the third and fourth quarter, they still have to be running the ball. And they can't keep abandoning the run. I mean, that's huge. And I realize that the score kind of dictates how a team does with the run, how they run their plays if they get behind. So, I'm just hoping that they can look at the game film from this last game and see Doug Martin was productive, and they need to feed him the ball more. I just don't think 18 attempts is just not enough. I mean, you've got to do more. And these guys, these other running backs, I mean, if you have to get them involved as well, where you're rotating out running backs, I mean, that's another option as well. I just feel like they're hitching their horses to Jameis Winston's arm. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, you've got running backs that you can be bringing in to keep your main running back fresh. There are a lot of opportunities and a lot of options that it just doesn't look like Tampa's doing. Hey, you're back with us.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all good, man.
But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, again, it's just about being something different, and just finding that consistency. It's got to come. I mean, we've been so inconsistent. I mean, something's got to turn for the better, and got to start playing up to their potential. I know it's in there. They just got to find a way to do it, and I think this week will be a great time to do it. Your backs are against the walls. It's pretty much must win from here on out. And you have to find a way to pretty much save the season. And if the guys care doing and they want to make the playoffs, then they have to put everything they got into this week and really focus. I think it comes down, again, to attention to detail and understanding that there's plays to be made. And I know penalties and all that's going to happen. You're going to have a holding here and there. I mean, holding can pretty much be called on every play, pretty much, and except unless you're Joe McCoy, who gets held on every play.
Exactly.
It doesn't get called, but refs are right there in front of him. And he doesn't throw the flag, but that's a whole another story. But again, I think the main thing this week is just passion. I just want to see this team come out with a fire, start going fast. I mean, that's really what I want to see.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, bro, we're at the end of a whole hour already, but I want to make sure that the fans are aware of realbuckstalk.com. If you haven't been there, please go check it out. Great content. I mean, basically, and I'm not saying this because you're the co-host, but Real Bucs Talk has become my go-to. I mean, like when I'm at work or, I'm wanting to catch up on certain things, that's where I'm going first. You guys have stepped your game up. 2017, you guys are really doing big things. You and your partner Mark as well. You guys are doing big things, and I'm really appreciative of the articles that you have out there, man. I always look forward to the next one.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, Real Bucs Talk is a nice thing that we got going. Really love doing it, and you can follow us at Real Bucs Talk on Twitter, Facebook. But yeah, our site is going well, and we got just put up the videos from last week up. We have those up there on the site now. Just put up a couple articles this week so far. Hopefully get some more up before Sunday's game. Really go more in depth on the Saints. But yeah, I mean, it's live and kicking, and just love talking Bucs football. And we appreciate all the fans, our followers, Gene for letting me come on this podcast weekly and talk Bucs football. It's been awesome. So thank you all.
Yeah, man. And again, you're a big part of Buck What You Heard, man. I mean, you're right there, and I appreciate everything you bring to us. And I think it's a really good match for us. So for me, I hope fans aren't jumping off the ship yet. Don't jump out the window. I know that this hasn't been that season that you wanted it to be, but again, there's still a lot of football to be played. A lot of different scenarios can happen. As you see, and my heart goes out to Deshaun Watson. That's horrible. He was on his way to a monster season, and I hope he can bounce back next season, because I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But anything can happen any given Sunday. I mean, even practice, anything can happen. So the Bucs just have to focus on what they're doing and go out and play their game, win that game, and just get ready for the next one. That's what it's going to take. And these games are valuable. And I know I keep saying that, but it's true because of where the Bucs are right now with 5 losses already. I mean, these games are super valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. And again, like you said, any given Sunday, it's just about execution. And this team has to find a way to start executing. And I think if they do, and they find a way to do it on a consistent basis and start playing just smart football, this team can go far and they can win pretty much the rest of their schedule. The schedule is very winnable. I think they could easily, not easily, but they'll definitely be in most of their games if they just start playing the right way and how they're capable of. And I think they can definitely go on a run. It's going to take a significant run to make a serious push. You have 9 games left. You're probably going to have to win 7 of them to have a chance. But I think it's definitely possible with the talent of this roster. And again, they're on the coaches and everything, and want to blow everything up. The John Gruden rumors, just squash those. It's not happening. I think that's the last thing that this team needs is another coaching change. It seems like every 2 years we're getting a new coach, and you just can't have that set of foundation. And it's got to start now.
Yeah, you gotta weather the storm, man. I mean, in my opinion, you gotta weather the storm. I know it's painful. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's something that you just gotta weather the storm. It will get better.
And if you look at all the coaches that were hired last year, outside of Doug Peterson from the Eagles, a lot of them are struggling this season. So again, it's just not Dirk Cutter that is having a down year so far. A lot of these guys are struggling. And again, it takes time. I mean, you got to give your coaches, your staff some time to grow and get this team where it needs to be. You're still building a lot of pieces. You're building a foundation, and usually that takes at least 3 years, 3 to 5 years, and you got to wait and see what the finished product is going to produce. And if you don't, you're just going to keep trying to build something, and you're never going to see the finished product.
Yeah, you're gonna repeat the Raheem Morris and Greg Schiano and Lovie Smith era. You're just gonna keep repeating that. So don't think that one coach is gonna come in here and overnight change everything. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
But anyway, that's pretty much it. I know it's late. Again, Michael Pless, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure listening to you and all your football knowledge, and let's get a Bucs win on Sunday. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Got to have it.
All right, go Bucs. That's it for us. Have a good night. God bless.